abdominals, obviously, because they're very big proponents on working the core. And
Mm-hmm.
again, but it also has some rest and relaxation in there with yoga. You also get to do some martial arts even.
Mm.
So it really has a nice balance there in terms of exercises. And you do get the whole body conditioned and strengthened.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say definitely in those 90 days, that's kind of what you should expect to happen. Because remember, we're going from sedentary, or we may even be going from reasonably fit
Right.
to extreme fit. And remember, whenever you hear that extreme fit, that means that there's not a whole lot of resting going on there. I mean, you're pretty much working, and it's very challenging physically to
Mm.
finish a workout or a routine each day.
Mm-hmm.
So every day you got to get up for that. It's like I got to get up for another routine
Wow.
today, tomorrow, etc., etc. Now, ideally, what we would do is we would recommend a day of rest and recovery in between an intense workout.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much that, your muscles and things can recover,
Mm-hmm.
and which is true, but it's also because in terms of diet, we want to make sure that folks are not depleting
Mm.
stores, important stores of carbohydrates, which kind of fuel exercise and activity. So if you're doing something like an extreme fitness,
Mm-hmm.
there's extreme boot camps, the P-90Xs,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be absolutely sure that your eating is in line with that type of exercise.
Right.
If you're not eating well and you're doing these extreme fitness
Mm. Yeah.
routines, chances are it's going to be very soon that you're going to end up suffering some type of I would say malnutrition,
Mm.
undernutrition.
Mm-hmm.
You may not necessarily get all the energy and nutrients that you need for each workout,
Right.
which will then affect your workouts and your
Mm.
ability
Okay.
to get through them.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's important.
So it is important that if you want to do something like this, that first of all, that you're actually physically ready to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people are not physically ready to start an extreme workout routine. So in order to be ready, and you pretty much have to have some base level of fitness. So I would say just start a normal fitness routine and then work your way to something like P90X. I would
Uh-huh.
say if you are sedentary, meaning you just are not doing much at all, it would not be a good idea to begin a P90X routine.
Mm-hmm.
I do know also that this particular system that they have a kind of like a starter
Mm-hmm.
program, so something that
Okay.
kind of bridges the gap between 0 and 100.
Right.
And I would recommend even doing that if that's something that you felt like you really wanted to do, which is to
Mm-hmm.
do this whole 90-day system here. I would start with something that's kind of in the middle there,
Mm.
so that you don't end up hurting yourself and then not being able to work out at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's kind of where I would say to start. And then the next thing, as I mentioned before, is with the eating. The eating has to support the activity.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just assume it's all about fitness and not about nutrition. A lot of the results that we see when we're talking about weight loss is due to changes in nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just assume that it's all about me working hard.
Right.
Okay. So those are some basic guidelines that I would give in terms
Okay.
of getting started.
Uh-huh.
Work on that diet
Okay.
and do something that bridges the gap between 0 and 100. Start
Mm-hmm.
on a routine, or you may get the starter routine that
Mm-hmm.
they have there
Okay.
in order to do that. And they even have a readiness test,
Uh-huh.
fitness readiness test, which will allow you to assess
Okay.
whether that's something that is ultimately going to be able to get you results. Because basically, if you're not ready for some of the things they're doing, it may not be such a good idea at that
Right.
time. So,
Okay. And then also you had mentioned, taking a day of rest in between workouts. So at least, that's always a two good health
mm-hmm,
suggestion. So,
mm-hmm,
even though you buy a program, that says, okay, 90 days, 6 days a week,
mm,
we can go ahead and adjust or kind of, moderate that to suit us. We don't have to do it exactly the way it's written out for,
exactly right. And if somebody were going to ask me to say, look, I got this P90X, how do I get going with it? I would say, well, first of all, there's a concept and a principle known as progressive overload.
Mm.
And I would say that is going to be very important, that we progress up to what you see on the video.
Mhm.
Let's not do 100% of everything you see on the video.
Mm.
And I would even recommend, instead of 6 days a week, like they're saying, I would recommend 3 to 4
Yeah.
just to get started,
Mhm.
because you will be feeling it. And
Yeah.
and there won't be a whole lot of room for rest and recovery.
Mhm.
So chances are you're going to be feeling stiffness and soreness a
Mhm.
lot during
Mhm.
this whole process. So I would really want to minimize that.
Yeah.
I would want to cut back on that, because the next step from stiffness, continued stiffness and
Right.
soreness is increased risk for injury.
And can you explain very briefly, Charles, why it is that we get stiff and sore and what's going on with our muscles, particularly when we do strength training?
Oh,
That
yeah.
knowledge totally
Mhm.
changed my life and how I view strength training.
Well, generally when you do strength training, um, most people would assume that, okay, I'm lifting weights, so I'm building my muscle. But generally when you're lifting weights or doing anything that requires a significant amount of muscle effort, you actually are traumatizing or breaking down muscle fibers. And so as a result of a workout, when we feel tired and we feel fatigued, it's with good reason. And so basically we're breaking down our muscle tissue, and as we break down our muscle tissue, well, now we need some type of rest and recovery from
Mhm.
that. We need time for this muscle to repair itself.
Mhm.
And so along with good diet, at that point we also need rest and
Mhm.
recovery. So we need the food in order to give us the components so we can actually rebuild and repair our muscle tissue.
Right.
And so if we go day after day without having this take place completely or adequately, that's where the increase in risk for injury comes in, but that's also where diminishing results start to happen
Oh,
as well.
wow.
So you won't see nearly the results that you could see
Mhm.
with allowing yourself to completely recover
Wow.
from your workout.
Yeah, so that's wild to know that, yeah, most of us think, oh, I'm building up my muscle, but technically, we're really breaking it down to build it up. So if we don't rest, we don't recover, you're kind of leaving your muscle in that broken down state.
Yeah, it just leads to overtraining, and there's a
Mhm.
number of injuries that can occur, but there's also, a major effect
Mhm.
on us psychologically and
Yeah.
emotionally too.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I would say definitely we want to be careful about that. And
Great.
lastly, just know that it's drastic, it's significant lifestyle change,
Mhm.
so you want to take it gradually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we want that lifestyle change for a lifetime.
Exactly right, not just 12 weeks.
That's right. Wow. Well, that was some really good information, and we hope that you have gotten some good pointers. And next time you're looking at a fitness program that'll help you out, or you can always contact us at info@toogoodhealthllc.com. We want to thank you for listening to the Too Good Health Show today on WIMO 1300 AM. And we hope that you will join us again next Saturday morning at 10:30, as we will be talking to you, probably parents out there, parents and grandparents, for your kids. We're going to be talking about back to school nutritional nuggets for kids as they're getting ready to go back to school. Please stay right here on WIMO 1300 AM for news and views with Gregory Howard and Steve Ramey. Until next time, this is Cheryl and Charles reminding you to honor your body every day, and it will give you a lifetime. Goodbye from Northeast Georgia. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.